Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to another brand new episode of General Geekery! Yay!
Donald, what are you doing?
I'm beginning the episode in my Kermit the Frog voice.
Yeah, what is up with this, what were you gonna say? What was the word you just literally used to describe what you were about to do? This is getting very meta, but...
Grandiose.
What is up with this grandiose introduction?
Just felt like doing it. Editor Donald, play the intro music, please.
Oh, man. Epic fail for me.
Okay, so that entire thing is staying in.
Perfect. I don't care at this moment.
It's perfect just the way it is. Thank you for indulging and partaking in this entire project.
Well, is that the end of the episode?
No, we're still going. We're still going.
Okay. Particularly good brew today.
Oh, especially now that the cool weather's finally coming in.
Yeah, and it finally feels appropriate to be having hot coffee.
Fall is my season, and I love it.
Me too. Finally got out my sweaters.
I got my sweater. I got my hoodies out. I got my flannel out.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I got these weird, super warm Pendleton moccasins that I got at Goodwill.
Ooh!
They're so warm.
Yes.
Oh, there's gum on the bottom of one of them. That's why it was making a weird noise.
We'll have to clean that out later, but that's perfectly okay. Anyway, enough gushing about the fall. Shall we get on with it?
Yes, let's.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the General Geekery Podcast. This is, of course, the podcast where we love to geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse.
No regrets.
And with all of the enthusiasm in the world.
Indeed.
As always, I am your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, streamer by night, and now armed with a Kermit the Frog impression. I am Donald Kaczynski.
You get to say three more things like that throughout this episode, so choose wisely.
Okay.
You should assign me a strange voice to do as well, like that I have to do a couple of times that I don't want to do.
We'll figure one out in the future.
Okay, because that would be a fun challenge considering what our topic is, which is, what is it, Donald?
Well, first we got to introduce you first.
Yeah, who the hell am I?
And as always, our resident proclaimer of all things dystopia, our video game inept.
The end is nigh!
Our video game inept. And our artiste extraordinaire, Hannah Kubiak.
Hello.
So for today's topic is actually a topic very near and dear to my heart. So we have done no shortage of acting topics in the past. We've talked about stuff involving Shakespeare, theater in general. Today, I wanted to talk about a form of acting that I have been obsessed with since I was a child. And I am trying to break more into now that I am an adult, and I have been trained as an actor. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are gushing about the world of voiceover, or voice acting, whichever you call it. So,
or vocal performance.
Vocal performance, it takes many different reigns, and it covers many different mediums, and it's been around for as long as there's been broadcasted media. Like, even before that, I mean, you could arguably say that vocal, like voice changing and voice acting goes far as back as, like, just doing, like, children's puppet shows, or, like, even, like, back to the tales of the Greeks.
Yes, like Homer's epics, I was about to say. They would just tell the story. I saw a play one time, it was called An Iliad, and it was a one-man show in which it was basically this guy telling the story of the Iliad the way that you would have experienced it had you been an audience in ancient Greek times. It was just him telling a story.
That's cool.
And it was one of the best shows I have ever seen. It was amazing.
That's really, really cool. Like,
Yeah.
was he, like, just through the whole time, or did he try, like, changing, his voice at, like, certain, like...
He would do voices for different characters. Like, I think that, like, Agamemnon had a voice, and, like...
Nice!
He did something different for Achilles, and for, like, the gods and the goddesses and stuff.
I approve.
It was really cool.
So, obviously, voice acting is basically the vocal expression of acting. So it's basically all of the emotion, all of the experience, and all of the characterization of someone that you're performing is all within the vocal cords.
Yep.
The throat muscles. I'm letting my voice teacher down from college because I do not remember all the names of all of the respective muscles.
The larynx.
The
vocal folds.
The vocal folds.
That one always makes me feel weird.
Vocal folds.
Vocal folds.
That was so great.
Yes. But, yeah.
For all our acting peeps out there, please tell us all this, because
Please write in to, do we have an email?
We should really set that up.
We don't have an email? Okay, fine.
I don't know if we have an email, but post it on all our social media. Yep. Let us know how long we are.
Join our Discord.
Join our Discord. The links for all that will be in the description of this episode.
Yep. It's so much fun. There's a new setting now that I was working on where you go in. There's this thing called the sorting hat where you pick a reaction based on what Hogwarts house you're in, and you are instantly, well, you're just... I'm going to make like different channels for people.
Oh,
so
based on the respective
houses?
Yeah,
so when there's more than just like you in one and me in another, because that's pretty much all that's there. Our patron, Andrew Kelly, is on there as well.
Oh, of course. That's
Slytherin. He could have a channel unto himself if he wanted. So bring more people in so we can...
Come hither, join us.
Join us. It's fun. I'm going to add more things too, so you can decide what kind of threads you want to follow and stuff.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
General geekery, there's so much there. We could have so many channels and you could easily get overwhelmed. I know I would.
Fair enough.
So if you don't care about anime, but you want to read our stuff about Tolkien, then yeah.
Come join us. Join the geekery.
Anyway, yeah, come to the Discord. But let's continue on with our topic.
Indeed. So, modern voice acting, honestly, can be traced back to, like, honestly, the advent of radio.
Yep.
So, for as long as, like, radio has been around, like, modern voice acting has basically, like, evolved from that.
And now, this is the BBC.
Kind of. So, basically, like, radio plays or anything like that. Like, you could even say, like, the, performance of H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds radio broadcast could kind of also be a form of, like, voice acting.
I remember...
Narration itself,
like audiobooks, reading aloud.
Yep.
Voice acting has... Like, when my mom would read out loud to me, she'd do voices for all the different characters. One time she was doing that in an airport, and this other random child who was nearby was like, Mom, why don't you do voices when you read? And my mom's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for being so cool.
So, yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my mother raised me on the Dr. Seuss books, and she would always do her best to do voices and everything like that as well. So I think I mainly picked up my inspiration to try to do acting from her as like an early age of that.
Yeah, story time with Mom. It's formative.
Woo! Indeed. But yeah, basically, reading books and storytelling is like one of like the first like pillars of like voiceover.
Yep.
So like audio plays, books, anything like that. Like even as far back as like 1 hour radio shows, like on original CBS and NBC radios.
Yeah, I have this weird memory of like something that I remember. I think some afternoon, my sister and I were just listening to a random radio channel, and we were like going like through the dial or whatever, and we got to one, and it was a radio drama which we had never heard before, and I don't even know what it was about, but something that we would repeat to each other all the time just for no reason was this hokey thing where this guy was like, Eddie is the Phantom Troubadour, and this girl would go, what? And that was like a commercial break or something. But I have no idea what that was. Like, who is Eddie and who is the Phantom Troubadour? What story was that? If anybody knows, tell me, because I have no idea.
Indeed. So,
10 sidebars later.
I love that I've introduced that into these.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, radio has lent itself to a lot of it. And a lot of, like, the early voiceover artists that became, like, the first generation of voiceover talents came from radio.
Yeah.
One of them that I'll get to in a second. But you could say one of the big things that voiceover tends to, like, in terms of, like, what comes to your mind. When I say what medium lends most of its talent to voice acting the most, like, what benefits the most from voice acting, like, what form of, like, entertainment do you think?
Cartoons is what I think of.
Yep.
Was that a trick question?
No, I was...
So all I could think of was cartoons and video games.
Well, video games later on, but
Yeah.
but in the early times, yes.
And then audiobooks.
Cartoons. Well, audiobooks are also another different thing, but cartoons kind of changed the cartoon voice acting kind of changed, like, how voice acting was also received, because it was always like a face. You could never have a face like attached to the voice, but now you have a visual representation of a character being represented by this voice.
Yeah. Okay.
And the first, like, screen voice actor, believe it or not, is Walt Disney himself.
I could believe it.
Because
seems like that's kind of the sort of like the genesis of some sort of production company where you're just like, you can't afford to hire anybody, so you're like, well, I gotta do this myself, I'm gonna do this myself and this myself and everything myself. That's me again. It's like one of those ones where it's like written by Hannah Kubiak, directed by Hannah Kubiak, voiced by Hannah Kubiak, with music by Hannah Kubiak, edited by Hannah Kubiak.
Assistant production by Donald Kaczynski, and assistant music design by The Twilight.
Yeah. Let's just gloss over the fact that you said your own name wrong just there, but...
I've been up since 5 a.m. Give me some slack here.
Donald Brzezinski.
I've been up since 5 a.m. Give me a little bit of slack here. But,
That was me giving you slack.
Yeah. So, anyway, the first cartoon to, like, include, like, voice acting as well as, like, synchronized music takes is Steamboat Willie.
Right. Was that Walt Disney then?
Yes, Walt Disney was the original voice of Mickey Mouse.
Wow. Did he just whistle, or was it a whole plot? Because I've actually never seen Steamboat Willie.
It's been a long time since I've seen Steamboat Willie too. He did like a couple of, like, voice stuff for Mickey, but it was a lot of whistling.
I mean, kind of like whistling, and then kind of like wah.
Yep, basically.
Oh.
Of course, Steamboat Willie was like 5 years before, like, Walt Disney's, like, original full theatrical debut with the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Actually, it's not even 5 years out. It's like it's like a decade out, because that was like 1938 or something. Anyway, that's an entirely different thing. But that was, like, really what opened the door to, like, voice acting in cartoons, which would eventually go into films with the release, like, of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And at the time, like, there was well performances that were really well done. People were caught up in just, like, the fascination of, like, oh, these feature-length film cartoons and all these people playing these parts. It's so cool. But it was kind of a gimmick in the early times, just because people were just, like, swept up by, like, oh my god, this is something new and exciting. I can't believe this.
But they didn't expect it to just keep going, you mean?
You know, exactly. It's like, you look at those old films, but it's like, well, we view, like, stuff like television stuff differently, because, like, we're actors and, like, we like to get sucked in by, like, the illusion.
Yeah.
Of, like, actor's performance.
Yeah, kind of like walking that line between enjoying the animation and the voices combined, and then also just thinking to yourself, that must have been really weird to record.
Yeah, I have that in my mind all the time, especially for like a lot of the stuff that I do like on streams, because I do voice acting live on streams.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something that would be weird to, I don't know, like just when they say, okay, we need a bunch of like screams and grunts and yelps from you, for this combat scene. So it's like, all right, just like do a really loud yell, and then do a couple of medium, like just sort of grunts, and then I want one sustained shriek that's a little bit comical.
Yep. Sessions were like, there are plenty of sessions like where they will literally just like record like characters like sounds for that, and those can take hours.
Yeah.
Like I've seen behind the scenes footage of like people in the booth,
right?
Like behind the mic and like just doing all these like different takes, and I'm actually starting to try taking voice acting lessons online.
Cool.
I did a short masterclass with Steve Bloom, who's the voice of Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop.
What?
Yeah, I did a short little masterclass sit-in, and
was it like an online thing?
Yeah, it was an online thing.
Okay.
I'm honestly thinking about taking the full course, truthfully. But he made a mention is like sometimes when you have to record like a single line, like you'll be recording like a single line for several different for several minutes and even almost up to an hour, just in very different ways of saying it. Let's try a little exercise.
Okay. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
So, say to me a line from anything. It could be from like a movie or a play, and I will try to deliver that line to you 5 different ways.
Giving me the option to decide what you should say.
I've given you a very powerful and dangerous tool.
Yeah. Can you say, you might have to cut out this stunned silence as I consider.
A few moments later, after Hannah Kubiak thinking.
Can you say, villain, I have done thy mother in different ways?
Sure. Villain, I have done thy mother in different ways.
Was that one of them?
No. No.
That's from Titus Andronicus.
Yeah.
It's the first Yo Mama joke on record.
It's such a good line.
Yeah.
It's such a good line. Villain, I have done thy mother. 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 Villain, I have done thy mother.
That last one was dirty.
Yeah. But yeah, like all 5 of those takes are different inflections. Different ways of taking it. A few were serious, some were more comical, because I mean, it's a very comical line.
Yeah.
But if you can add like a little bit of like a serious gravitas undertone to it, that can add just a little bit more depth.
Yes, gravitas.
That's why, like, whenever I approach, like, especially stage acting, like, I always like to work with inflections in my voice a little bit more, because I like the subtleness of the voice, as opposed to like intentional movements. Like, intentional movements are very useful on stage. And are actually more needed and pronounced on stage, but I appreciate the power of the voice.
Yeah.
So I would say that's my area of comfortability and play in terms of acting myself.
Right. Yeah.
I think one of the people that was really the one that really took like the art of voice acting into well into how it is today is the man behind the voices of the classic Looney Tunes.
Oh. You looking them up right now?
I just had to remember that. And his name is Mel Blanc. He is the voice of Porky Pig.
Okay.
Bugs Bunny.
Okay.
Daffy Duck. Yosemite Sam. Nearly every single Looney Tune, with the exception of maybe Granny.
Ah, Mel Blanc. That sounds like the name of like a grizzled PI, like in a Humphrey Bogart film.
It kind of does.
My name is Mel Blanc.
Mel Blanc. Original.
A dame knocked on my door and came in without
that is actually like his given. That is actually his real name. His real name, full name, Melvin Jerome Blanc. Pronounced Blank.
Blank?
Yeah.
Why? Okay.
Yeah, it's romanized as Blank. I said it wrong. I just like Blanc.
I do too.
I just like the way it sounds. Blanc.
Blanc.
Yep, he worked in acting over 60 years across radio and then through the Looney Tunes cartoons with Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig.
Holy crap.
And he's basically the main voice behind like the golden age of American animation. He was also Barney Rubble in the Flintstones.
Okay.
I think he was Mr. Spacely, which was the boss in the Jetsons, and he was like the icon that people always like trace back to as like a titan in the industry of voiceover.
A guy named Mel, a titan.
Mm-hmm. So, and he left a giant legacy for like many to follow. Like I said, he voiced Looney Tunes for like nearly the entirety of the run up until his death in 1989. Did you know he was actually in a car crash that put him in a coma? And what got him out of that coma was doing the voices of the Looney Tunes in his sleep.
What?
That is a true story if you look that up.
Imagine being the nurse on the ward, and you just all of a sudden, as you're walking along, you just hear Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, when he was hospitalized, they literally brought the recording equipment to his hospital room for him to do the voices, like right up until his death.
In his sleep? No.
Not in his sleep.
Oh.
Not in his sleep.
Okay.
The coma thing was true. Like they didn't record him with that like while he was asleep.
You'd record someone while they're in a coma. But yeah, imagine you're like the night nurse and you're walking down the hallways and you just.
Let me actually look that up. Like I want to
hear. just hear, "What's up, Doc?" You're like, "Oh, I'm a nurse, but are you awake?"
Yeah, let's see. Okay, here it is. The strange day when Bugs Bunny saved Mel Blanc's life. Okay. So yeah, basically, okay, in January 1961, Blanc was in his sports car when a college student smashed into him right on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. His son was talking about this on a podcast. So basically, nearly every bone in his body was broken, and like he was knocked out. Like they thought they were going to lose him. Apparently, Looney Tunes was playing on the TV, and instead of calling for Mel's name to wake him up, they were asking Mel as if he was Bugs Bunny. They were like, the doctor finally says, "Bugs, can you hear me?" To which Mel responded, "Yeah, what's up, Doc?" in character.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and as he was recovering, he was basically recording his lines like in full body cast.
Wow.
They brought the recording equipment to him.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Yeah, so for some quote unquote real actors that call in because of a cold, which you should absolutely take care of your body. This is just a joke. Mel Blanc was still able to do voice work in a body cast with old 1960s recording equipment.
Yep.
That story is just like... I found that story out when I was in like high school or in college. I sat there just like stupefied. I'm like, this man is a god.
That's awesome. Oh man.
And so as time went on, of course, voice acting was always prominent in television through cartoons, but it would also be used in like movies more often as like technology advanced, especially in live action, which incorporated different elements of as CGI advanced, as gimmicks advanced. Puppetry, technically, also lent its voice to voiceover. If you've seen any movies involving the Muppets,
Right.
Frank Oz and the team behind the Muppets, absolutely. Especially when he did Yoda.
Oh, yeah.
When he did Jedi Master Yoda.
Yeah.
So that is another lent to it. And then from like the 1990s going into the 21st century, another realm of entertainment that took voice acting to different heights was video games.
Okay, so that's when that came in.
Yeah, because in the 1980s and 70s, like NES, early days of SNES, things of that nature, voice acting was not really used in video games outside of like very compressed sound bites because the technology at the time wasn't able to capture it effectively. But as time wore on, especially into like the mid 90s, with games such as Metal Gear Solid, the Duke Nukem series, and other different ventures by different gaming companies, voice acting started to be implementing very, very slowly into video games. It was kind of like that avant-garde period, like in the early 20th century, with like Walt Disney like whistling as Steamboat Willie and like the first animated films. That people were just like, oh my god, there's voice acting in video games now.
Yep.
But as time has rolled on, there are performances in video games lately, especially in the last 10 years, that rivals almost anything that is put on like TV or film.
Yeah. Like, trying to think of an example.
And not only that, like the talent pool has increased like since then. Because it's not just it's not just actors from like different mediums such as stage or live action television or radio.
Oh, just like taking a crack at voice acting?
Yeah, taking a crack at it on the side, because that's what voice acting was for like most of like the early days. It was just something as a side that you would just do on your free time. Nowadays, it is a lucrative and legitimate area of specialization in acting.
Yeah, it's a legitimate career.
Because there's so many different avenues that you can take. There's audiobook narration, characterized narration through audiobooks as well. You can have more than one person doing an audiobook for that.
Yeah, like a dramatized reading of something.
Yep. Then you have paid work for cartoons, games, either done by big studios or small indie companies looking for newer talents. You have voice acting opportunities in other different countries to actually English dub. I've seen listings for voice acting as far as Singapore.
Oh, wow.
For English dubs of like different cartoons and shows that are in their area.
Wow.
Do you know how many different English dubs of Dragon Ball Z there are?
Probably a whole bunch.
Yeah. And in many different countries.
Yeah.
France, there's a specialized English dub for Japan, I believe, China. Like, it's insane.
I never thought of that there would be like a couple of versions of a dub in the same in one language.
It's still done to this day too. It's mainly because like different shows get caught by get picked up by different broadcasting companies and gain different rights, contracts. That's an entire thing realm that I'm not too familiar with, so I'm not going to go into details on that. But yeah, voice acting has become like a legitimate career that one can step into as a specialty in the realm of acting.
Nice.
You just got to have the equipment, and you have to be willing to put in the time. and it's become more available these days. Because this is, I remember the masterclass that I sat in with Steve Blum saying this. You can literally do voiceover with anything. I've done a voice acting session where literally I did not have access to any booth. I had like a small, cheap microphone with me that I placed in between 2 hotel pillows while I was on the road and did a studio quality performance with that.
Is this an anecdote from Steve Blum or you?
He legitimately.
Oh, okay.
I abridged it a little bit. I don't think I said it for word, but he did share that story.
Like on the road in a car, he did.
He was staying at a hotel. He was staying at a hotel because he was traveling for like different stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he had to record some lines for like a specific thing, and he said that he did that.
Huh.
And like early on in his career, and look at him now. He's like one of the most like respected veterans in the voiceover industry. He's done Tom for Toonami and Cartoon Network. He did, like I said, Spike Spiegel for Cowboy Bebop. He was he's one of the most recognized voice actors for X-Men's Wolverine. And so many other different projects in between.
Yeah.
And nowadays, voice actors that specialize in the field are kind of treated like celebrities in and themselves, especially in that circle.
Right.
I know one that you personally know of, and it's a group of them, is the Critical Role crew.
Oh, yeah, all those people. Yeah.
Because they're all voice actors that work in the industry. So, like, Matthew Mercer, Travis Willingham, and his wife, Laura Bailey, and then Sam Riegel, all of them.
Liam O'Brien.
Oh, I love Liam. I have a special place in my heart for Liam.
Seems like he's a sweet guy.
He is such a sweetheart. I love him. He voices one of my favorite characters in Naruto.
Yeah.
And he has my eternal respect for it.
I don't think I got that far in Naruto.
Have you met Gaara yet?
No, I watched like the first 2 episodes.
Okay,
so of everything.
All right. He appears earlier on, but
yeah. I know his work from Fate Zero.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because
he voiced the guy who had bugs living in him.
That's right. He was
Karya.
That's right.
Karya, yeah. I was rooting for the whole time, and I was like, wait a minute. You know what? You're despicable.
He had good intentions, but they were twisted.
How much that guy devolved.
Oh, the Mato family. How dare you?
Oh, gosh.
How dare you, Mato?
The Mato family. That's one of those, like,
and then
that's one of those voice acting things that I'm like, how the hell, like, what is that like, recording that? Like, after he, like, what did he do? He stabbed his friend or whatever, like, the lady in the church.
Yeah.
And then he just, like, goes wandering down the aisle, just, like, wailing. Like, I've lost my mind.
Well, there's different, like, styles of, like, voice acting, too, that, like, dubbing over like an already existing thing, ADR is a much different process than if you're recording like for something that's in development. Like it's an entirely different experience. Like I've done voice stuff for like fan voice stuff for abridged works, where they have the benefit of doubt that they can do lip flaps and post edit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I want to be like behind the mic in the booth, like for a production like that, actually doing like trying to synchronize lip flaps and like
right, like you have to do for live action sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Like because they do that like whenever they import different movies from over in Europe or Japan and stuff like that coming to the United States or vice versa. They dub it for like their respective languages.
Yeah,
like it's a very multifaceted side of acting that is not really discussed as oftenly as just like the Oscar grabs. The Oscar grab acting, which I'm not saying all of them are bad, but I'm just saying, why do we not have an Oscar for voice acting?
We could call it the Edgar.
The Edgar!
But,
there are award ceremonies for that as well, but I honestly believe that there needs to be like a Academy Award for voice acting. Or voice actors should be specifically added for the best actor and best actress categories.
I can see that.
I legitimately believe that should be something, because some of the work that a lot of these people do, and there are many of them that come from different facets. Do you know that one of the original people from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show in the 90s is one of the most celebrated and recognized English voice actors of all time?
Who?
The second Black Power Ranger, Johnny Young Bosch.
Okay, that name sounds familiar, actually, and I don't know why, because I don't know anything about this topic.
He was actually in Fate Zero. He was the master for Castor.
Oh! That's right! That's right! Wait a minute! He was the weird, he was the priest guy, right?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, no, he was the guy who, when he was, like, dying, he was like, oh, I was looking for my guts! That guy?
Yeah, he was the one.
Okay.
He was the teenager that was like murdering all the women and children.
The teenager murdering. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I understand now why I took note of him.
Yeah, he's
very messed up. Very interesting.
He has so many years under his belt in voice acting, and he's been in a lot of different things. He's one of the most recognized voices for those that follow English dubbed voice acting.
Wow. Yeah.
So he's a really he's a big one, and he's always been one that I've followed. Recent years, like through Critical Role, Matthew Mercer has gained an entire following all of his own.
Yeah.
Love you, Daddy Kiritsugu. Love you, Daddy.
Kiritsugu.
So yeah, he's done.
I watched like that whole show almost before I realized that was Matthew Mercer.
He's really good.
Yeah, I did it. Well, I figured it out because I was looking up. Because I recognized Wendy Lee immediately, and I was like, I gotta confirm that that's Wendy Lee. And I was
Wendy Lee has a very distinctive voice.
Yeah, and I was scrolling through, and I was like, oh, Matthew Mercer's in here too, and he's like the main guy. I had no idea. Anyway, is that Wendy Lee? Yeah, I guess that. Yeah. Okay.
Wendy Lee's so great. I love her.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and there are major breakthroughs, and there have been so many things in like voice acting, whether it be for like cartoons or anime or anything like that have made me cry. And lately, in like the past like 15 years, there's been kind of a little bit of a renaissance where celebrities will dabble in voice acting and actually have produced some amazing things.
Yeah.
Case in point, and I'm saying this because I rewatched it recently, The Rock and Moana.
Oh yeah,
steals the show.
Oh yeah, Dwayne.
What can I say except you're welcome? I was humming that song like all morning, and I'm like, this is why this is in my head. I hate this.
Oh man, yeah. And then, what about? Where would you categorize the kind of like it's like voice acting and motion capture, like what Andy Serkis did for like Rise of Planet of the Apes and Lord of the Rings?
Okay.
Where would you just say that that's just acting? Because he does the motion capture as well.
It follows both categories. I'm actually kind of glad that you brought that up, because that's actually kind of like a revolutionary thing lately, because several different mediums in both film, television, and games especially have brought in voice actors to also do motion capture. Like, I don't know if you heard of this game yet. Devil May Cry 5 is one such game that they brought in people to do motion capture for it, as well as doing their voices as well.
Okay.
Some of them did. Not all of them, but some of them. And it's being used more often today in like film and media that voice actors will also do the motion capture as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tolkien stuff, like, I know the Hobbit films aren't like the best received, but have you seen the behind-the-scenes footage of Benedict Cumberbatch portraying Smaug?
Yeah.
That is circus level. I'm like him being like in like this motion
see, that's the mocap studio, with like just like in a that's kind of the thing that I find really, really funny and interesting about like using green screens and motion capture and stuff, is that like how how good your focus and your imagination has to be for basically you to go into this big, empty, white room and wearing a white suit with like a little hood and like dots on your face and stuff, and lie down like on your face on just a board in the middle of the room, and then somebody points a camera at you and says, "Okay, you're a dragon. Go."
It's almost kind of like the same kind of like weight that like people that do like a form of method acted carry, like when they choose to like keep on all this excess heavy clothing and stuff like that to get more comfortable in it.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like that same kind of like mindset when you approach like a space like that, and you're basically, it falls down to like the main thing like acting is you have to do with acting, and that's play. Like, it doesn't matter like which form of acting, whether it's stage, film, voice, whichever. Play is so important.
Yeah, I have to have a sense of play. Yeah. That
we often do forget that at times. I know I do. And I always have to go back to that one word to remind myself why I do what I do. And it's
money.
No! God, no. Like,
if it was for money, what the hell are we doing with our lives?
Exactly. Damn you, capitalism! But, yeah, I enjoy voice acting because I love doing these voices. Like, I started quoting film and cartoons and everything like that when I was a kid. As I was growing up, I started developing, like, my own, like, little unique takes and voices. Back in high school, I could actually mimic some of the voices to, like, online parodies that I, was watching. That eventually led me to follow acting in college to, like, understand better just, like, the art of, like, crafting your craft. And that eventually has led to where I am today.
Yeah.
And it's all through voiceover performances on Saturday morning cartoons at 7 a.m, going wild while my parents are like, shut up.
Man. There's so many things you can do acting-wise and just, like, creatively and everything. And, like
harness a sick Kermit the Frog voice to rule the world. I still have 2 left.
Yep. Lion Lynn, there's Goofy.
Oh, I forgot you have Goofy.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Funny thing is, like, there is a specialized area of voice acting for it, like, impressions of, like, famous cartoon characters.
Right.
Like, if you can do an impression, like, so well,
and
it'll get you cast in, like, so many projects. Like, the current voice for Porky Pig, I forget the actor's name. He only voices Porky Pig for the most part, and not really much else. But he's so good at being Porky Pig, he keeps being brought back to be Porky Pig in everything. It's uncanny.
Have you ever heard, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this at some point, you heard the cover of Wake Me Up by Evanescence where it's Goofy?
Yes! You showed me that.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that I did. I show it to everybody.
Save me!
Save me!
I remember...
Wake me up!
A friend of mine actually showed me a edit of a scene from the movie Full Metal Jacket where oh god, was it Private Joker was Goofy, Gunnery Sergeant Hartman was Donald Duck, and Private Gomer Pyle was Mickey Mouse.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I've seen like Lord of the Rings scenes like that where they have bizarre voices.
They're so fun. And a lot of
maybe there was one where it was
and a lot of people love doing it just for the
like a dub of, so you know the scene at the end of Return of the King when like Frodo wakes up and Gandalf is there and he's like Gandalf everything, and then everyone's laughing and for some reason somebody did a dub where everybody's just making like weird noises instead of the words, so it's just like he gets up and it's like, it looks completely normal for the most part until he opens his mouth and it's like, yeah.
I can just imagine somebody like doing that with Gandalf, and literally the scene where he's like the slow motion like laugh. I can just see someone going, nya, 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 nya.
But yeah, I love those kind of things. Or like, this There's the one where they do it as though the Urukai are Wisconsinites, and they're like jogging along, and then they stop. It's when they've kidnapped Merry and Pippin, yes. And they're jogging along, and they stop, and it's like, what is it? What do you smell? Man flesh. Oh, they picked up our trail. Oh no! Oh man! Ah, dang it! Let's go, boys!
Oh my god!
Man flesh.
That is such a Wisconsinite accent. It's not even funny. Like, that's no joke. That is dead set literally what Wisconsin people sound like.
Ah, man. Oh, man. Let's go, boys.
Oh dear now.
Dear now.
We need to get ourselves some Miller, don't you know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dear.
Let's go, boys.
But, oh my god. And now it's stuck in my mind.
We ain't had nothing but PBR for 3 stinking days.
We ain't had nothing but PBR for 3 stinking days. Yeah, why can't we have some sours?
What about cheese cuds? They're fresh.
They are not for eating.
What about the onion rings? They don't need those.
Oh,
now I'm just Australian.
Just a beer brat.
Just a beer brat. Oh, man. We've gone too far.
It looks like sauerkraut's back on the menu, boys.
Woo! Yeah! Go, Pats, go!
Ay, caramba.
As they're tearing the intestines out of their friend.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
Why are we not getting paid for this?
We should be, honestly.
And
if I had more energy, I'd be involved in so many things.
I agree.
I'd be writing my plays. I'd be writing my books. I'd be doing plays. Like I'd be acting. I'd be doing music. I'd be doing voice acting.
And
I'd be getting my master's in criminology or something.
I see.
It was Hannah Kubiak in the foyer with a metal pipe while eating a donut.
Mostly right. It was a hand pie, but other than that...
Fair enough. But yeah, with like so many different opportunities like in voice acting today, how easy it is to climb on, and so many different avenues of way to approach it, from like small time projects to like big budget stuff. It's a ever growing like lucrative form of acting that I always encourage. Like, I've talked about it, like when we were working on Titus Andronicus, like I've talked with several different people, like Thomas Sebald especially.
Right.
I know me and him always like talked about like voice acting a lot.
He's been a guest on the show.
He's been a guest on the show before.
Way back in the day.
Thomas,
our very, very first Anime April, right?
Yep, first ever Anime April, which we actually got him in like before lockdown happened. Still great. Thomas, we love you. We miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, friend.
And yeah, I know he was like dead set on like following it. I've heard a lot of great things like from him, like in his respective ventures. And yeah, it's just so great to like follow that. And I hope to one day start doing more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that you should just do just because, oh, I had the chance to be famous. It's a craft. You gotta put the time, you gotta put your energy into it. It's like the same reason like why we do what we do, why we do the podcast, because we love doing it. Yeah, why we sit here. Yep. Why we sit here in a room drinking coffee, sometimes noshing on some hand pies or whatever bakery we have.
So far, yeah, I think we've made about $30. So.
Well, because of our lovely, lovely patrons. Thank you, patrons. But yeah, and it's a reason why I love acting. I love acting because I love voice acting. I mean, I love voice acting because without it, I wouldn't be here. And I will always respect the art of voiceover.
Yeah.
And oh man, there's so many good like forms of like examples of like good voice acting that like I want to bring up, but we would be dragging this on into like a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, I feel like we should do an episode about sort of like the steps you can take to get into something like that,
That-
and like how to tell that you've found a legitimate gig and stuff like that. That would be interesting, because I know that a lot of people who listen are kind of like actor types who might be interested in that.
Yeah, and we've also had like a lot of people. I've had a lot of people ask me like what I do, like how do I get into acting and stuff like that, and like, but that's an entire like thing that you literally have to like sit down and just like you have to like take it all in. It's like it's if you really like want to pursue like acting in different like forms, like we got to tell you like first and foremost what you got to do.
Yep.
But that is an idea for an episode.
Yeah.
Maybe once we hit the 100th threshold.
Yeah. I should write that down.
Indeed, we shall.
We'll make it another segment.
Indeed. Any closing thoughts on this?
No.
Fair enough. I think we can leave it off there.
Yeah. Let's curtail this one, shall we?
Indeed, the wonderful world of voice acting. Thank you guys so much for listening in and listening to our discussion about the rich history and art of voiceover, aka voice acting. If you guys like what you've been listening to, make sure to follow us on all of our streaming platforms, which is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, and if you guys don't have access to that, we are also available on my personal YouTube page at Anime Rev Productions. That is youtube.com/Anime Rev Productions. If you guys want to join in on our geekiness or support us in any way, shape, or form, the links to our Patreon page as well as our Discord server will be in the description of this episode. If you guys want to check out Hannah, she is on Instagram at Pythian Legume and also on the SPLANCHNIC podcast, which we'll have the link for that in the description of this episode as well.
Yep.
You can also check her out on Loaded Dice Adventures, twitch.tv/Loaded Dice Adventures. I'll have a link for that in the description of this episode as well. I'm putting all the links in the description now, man.
Yep. You should just have a big block of links.
Just link block! And if you guys want to check me out, it's on Twitter and Instagram at RyuzakiMK7 and on twitch.tv at RyuzakiMK7 as well. I followed the criticism from last time. I'm abridging the plug-in section. I'm just going to shrink that up a little bit.
Shrink that down a little. Like, interested in this? Look below.
All this information below. Twitter, Instagram, all these handles. Oh, and for those of you that want to follow us on social media, General Geekery on Instagram and Gen Geek Podcast on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, and we're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We should get on coffee as well.
Oh yeah, we really should.
Yeah, because that's like if people don't want to be a patron, but they just want to throw $1 at us, they can do that.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, we can get some sort of equipment for your microphone. I don't know what kind of equipment you need.
Don't worry.
Like,
I need a soundproof.
Soundproofing. Yeah, soundproofing would be good. Yeah.
I need to put stuff on these walls. I moved in here I moved into this apartment like 2 months ago. I still haven't set stuff up on the walls. Mm-hmm. God, I'm lazy. I am the worst.
Yeah, I've met worse.
Well, that makes me feel better that
Congratulations,
okay.
You're not the worst person I've ever met.
Yay! And that's my final Kermit noise.
Woo!
All right, thank you guys so much. This has been episode 92 of the General Geekery Podcast. We are inching ever closer to that fabled episode 100.
Oh, man.
So close, yet so far.
The pressure is on for it to be absolutely, like, stunningly amazing. I don't know what it's going to be.
We'll figure it out. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski. And until next time, guys, always remember to play in whichever acting you decide to go in, whether it be voiceover or the like. And always remember to keep your geek on.
Yup.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
Goodbye.